Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Beliefcast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap & Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. The visionaries behind Thread wallets. These wallets redefine style and functionality. Dave Philippi from Micro Plus, pushing the boundaries of nanotechnology and scientific research to bring us cutting-edge supplements for optimal health. The Ralphs and the Debenhams, creators of Mori Nutrition and Calm. Because if you're struggling with sleep, feeling stressed, or can't focus, Calm is your answer. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode. And finally, Gab Wireless, letting kids be kids and giving parents the peace of mind they deserve. Right now, Gab is offering $25 off any device to new customers with no contract required. That's $25 off any Gab smartphone or smartwatch. Just go to gab.com/belief. That's where you'll get the best deal. That's Gab, GABB.com/belief. Thank you to all these amazing sponsors for supporting the Beliefcast podcast and empowering us to continue spreading positivity and inspiration to the world. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. I am Todd Sylvester, the host of the Beliefcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited today. We are honored to have John Stockton, a basketball legend whose name is synonymous with excellence, perseverance, and integrity. As the NBA's all-time leading assist in steals, John's remarkable 19-season tenure with the Utah Jazz has set records that remain unbroken, which is just absolutely amazing. Beyond the hard word, though, he has navigated life with the same tenacity and conviction. He's a family man. He engages in community. He's got endeavors and discussions that reflect his unwavering principles. So I'm so grateful to have him here today to talk about his career, his philosophies, what he does to carry himself the way that he does. And we're going to uncover some amazing things and, what's shaped the man behind this legend. So, John, thank you so much for being here with me today.
I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, me too. Why don't we, start off? I know you grew up in Spokane, Washington, if I'm correct on that. You're in a tight-knit Catholic family. Talk a little bit about, just a little bit about your upbringing and what that was like as a kid.
Well, we grew up in a neighborhood called the Little Vatican. It's basically in the shadows of Gonzaga University and St. Aloysius Church, St. Aloysius Gonzaga being the patron saint of all of the above. So I grew up in, I was walking distance from campus. I was walking distance from St. Aloysius grade school, walking distance from my high school, Gonzaga Prep. And my old teammates used to joke in college, I went up through the farm system, ended up at Gonzaga University. So I literally could walk to school my entire life, and
Wow.
I was really comfortable in those confines.
Wow, I didn't know you were that close to all that. That's amazing. So, obviously Catholicism and those beliefs and principles and teachings obviously mean a lot to you. What are some of those things that you learned as a kid that kind of really stuck out to you and helped you, move forward in your life?
Wow, that's a tough question, and it encompasses a long time now. We've been around a while, so but just early on, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's mostly Christian. We were never Bible thumpers, we weren't. Yeah. We went to church on Sundays, and we didn't discuss the Bible at dinner time, and we weren't out preaching or anything like that. So it wasn't an overt part of our life, and yet it was very important. I was raised by my parents who were born and raised Catholic. Every school I went to, we were taught by nuns until high school, and then it was priests and nuns. So the lay teachers didn't come till later. So yeah, clearly the religious background is huge for us, and it's a good one. I still believe it. I think that the things
Sure.
they teach in the Catholic Church, largely the Ten Commandments for starters. It's a pretty darn good foundation, and then just being good to people and being a servant of others. I think that's a constant theme throughout. And then you just see the dedications of the priests and the nuns that taught me, and they're just wonderful people. So I had a great experience with it.
Yeah, that's great. I came across a quote that you said a long time ago. You may not remember this, but you said your parents were very grounded people. They didn't allow you to think that you were better than anyone else.
That's true, but they didn't have to work very hard at that. I was a little brother. My brother thundered me in everything I tried till I was probably 20 years old. He was just better at everything, and very caring sisters, and my mom was very caring, but it was a competitive household. And again, they didn't have to work very hard to keep me grounded. It was an everyday experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Big brothers will do that, won't they?
They will.
I'm sure there's a lot of lessons you've learned from your parents, and I know this is a big question, but what are some of the lessons that maybe stand out to you that you learned growing up from them?
It's funny, depending on what file I get on, I spent a lot of time. I was a little bit of a mama's boy, and then my mom would have told you I was daddy's boy. And so I got lessons from both of them over time. It kind of depends on what file we get in. Something that's kind of pertinent to now is my dad was very, very calm. He's do not follow the mob. So easy to do. One person says, hey, let's go do this. And pretty soon everybody thinks it's a good idea. And you kind of go, wow, and it can get away from you so quickly. That was one lesson that I think leading into what we'll probably be talking about today is one of the bigger lessons that I learned is do not follow that mob. It's not going to lead you in a good direction.
Yeah. That's a great advice, obviously. It's easy to look at you, John, obviously from a distance, and people who have watched your career and obviously had an amazing career, and they just think, man, you have this amazing life, which you do. But what were some of the things as a child that you actually struggled with? Like what were some of the battles that you wrestled with as, personally on maybe more on a mental and emotional level?
Again, pretty full question. Athletically speaking, I was, once you're an NBA player, everybody assumes you were always that. You were always something that everybody coveted and wanted on their team. And that wasn't my experience. For me to get to play, I had to sneak into gyms. My brother used to pull the chains open on doors. That's how they locked doors in those days. They'd pull the chains open and they would drop me in the top. And I would scurry around the building to let a window open to let the older guys in to play. And then maybe if I was lucky, they'd let me play. Meanwhile, I'd be dribbling on the sideline. So, you learn a lot about. We live a block from the river in the park, and we have a big homeless issue now. And at the time, we just called them hobos. And these guys rode in on the railroad tracks, which were right by the river, and you got to know them, you got to be leery of them, and yet know that they were part of the community. But it wasn't overwhelming like it is now. Those lessons we rode our bike every day. We got on the bikes. I think that helmets and rules ruined bike riding. My kids didn't want to ride bikes. They had to put helmets and knee pads on. We got on our bikes and we left. Mom said, be home by dinner. And those experiences were so incredibly valuable. I don't know if I even answered the question, but it gets you started.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I can relate with that, riding your bike with no helmet, no pads. I remember many times I would be riding my bike really fast and my foot would slip off and get stuck in the spokes and you'd flip over and you'd mess up your toes. But you just kind of walk it off and get back on the bike and make it home, maybe 2 or 3 hours later for dinner, right?
Exactly. I can think of the toast. They tell you don't ride your bike without shoes on. And you always argue that, and you go ride without them until you drag your toe on the pedal on the ground and you scrape your big toe to death. I cracked my front tooth making a ramp. I made my own handmade ramp out of a 2x4 and a rock, which was a great break, by the way, and hit it perfectly and over the handlebars and broke a tooth. And they're great experiences.
Yeah. I think one of the things that admire me most about you outside of the basketball stuff, John, is just your work ethic, and you just kind of stay out of like the drama of things. You just You know what you're going to do. You kind of put your mind to it. Did that work ethic, something you learned from your parents as well?
I'm sure it's when you're around your parents all the time, and what we try to do that with our kids. The lessons aren't, hey, lesson number one today, you're going to be you're going to be a hardworking person. You see how they do it every day. My dad got up and went to work every day, sick, weather, it doesn't matter. He's going to work every day.
Yeah.
What did my mom do? She was a housewife, worked every day, washing windows, washing doors, cooking, cleaning. I mean, I truly believe she loved working. It gave her satisfaction. And those lessons, even though they weren't written on a chalkboard, were the best lessons I ever got. And then I had nothing but in school, and my coaches in those younger years did nothing but confirm those.
Right.
You go to work, you go to school every day. You don't skip classes. I mean, when people say they miss classes, I can't fathom that. It just doesn't seem like that should be part of anything. So great mentors through my parents and onward.
Yeah, it's almost as if they were just teaching you by example. This is how we do things, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And again, I think that really played a part, obviously, in your success with basketball. How old were you when you realized, basketball is what I want to do? Was it really young, or did it come later in life?
Middle. Starting out young, the coolest thing I thought I could do, I was ball boy from all my brother's teams. I mentioned he's 4 years older than me. And I thought to be able to wear a football helmet, wear those cleats, put the eye black under your eyes, I was going to be a football player, and I was going to be a great football player. That was kind of where I was. Well, Mother Nature taught me otherwise. I didn't particularly like the cold.
Right.
You're out there grabbing and tackling and getting hit when it's ice cold, and that didn't fit. And then I was also small. I mean, I started high school under 100 pounds. Wow. And you just get pounded to death, and it just didn't seem like fun anymore. Meanwhile, every time I had a chance, I was out in the yard playing my brother in 1-on-1 or sneaking into gyms 2-on-2, 5-on-5, whatever. I loved it, but football was definitely cooler.
Right.
Baseball, I snuck onto the field and got on teams from the time I was 5 years old and loved it. But something clicked somewhere around high school to where that kind of my growth and my, growing skills fit with where I was in life at that time. And I have no regrets.
Yeah. Wow. I kind of relate with the football thing. I played football for one season, like when I was younger, and I was a skinny kid too, really skinny and small. And I just would get worked, and I'm like, you know what? Basketball is going to be my thing.
Yeah. And football, even if you do everything right and you're 70 pounds lighter than the guy you're going up against, it's painful. So, it's still the best. I love it. It's a great team sport, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah. What was it like when you realized you're going to be playing for Gonzaga?
Again, people look at Gonzaga today and they say, well, that's a dream come true. It wasn't at all. Gonzaga was one of the gyms I snuck into, so it was very ordinary for me. It wasn't until I went on, and I wasn't highly recruited. I think there was 2 other Division I teams that recruited me. And so I went on those recruiting trips, and even though they were great, I was treated great. I didn't want to be away from home. Was I mama's boy, daddy's boy? I don't know, but I like being home. And so it was as simple as that. Dan Fitzgerald, who recruited me with the notion. He said, look, if you had any chance ever of making the NBA, I wouldn't be in this room right now. Because how is that a recruiting tool? But it made sense to me. I go, you're right. I'm in. Let's go. So, it wasn't a dream come true, but it became that.
Yeah. Again, I would imagine, and I'm assuming this, but you being a little smaller, basketball, a lot of times it's like, man, people won't give you a chance really. Like, you might play a little college ball, but for you to play in the NBA, let alone even, be amazing as you were, how did you handle maybe people who doubted you and that were maybe saying, you know what, you're not going to make it because you're too small kind of thing?
I think that was understood based on Dan Fitzgerald's comment as a coach. I wasn't going anywhere. And all I did was concentrate on the day. I tried to get better every day. I tried to get stronger. I loved it. I mean, loved it.
Yeah.
It's been hours. I'd go play hoop, go home and eat, and I'd go back to the gym and just do it. So it became just such a love that I couldn't wait to go do some more. And then you start experiencing a little success. And by that, I mean, those college kids that used to thunder me when I was a little kid sneaking into the gym. I'm not talking about college players. I'm talking about college kids playing intramurals.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're starting able to do some stuff with them. And then all of a sudden they're picking you on the team. I mean, it was little things like that just fueled the fire. And I couldn't wait to go back to the gym and keep trying it. So nobody was doubting me. The doubt was already there.
Right.
And they weren't shooting me down to start. They said, hey, that little kid, he's not bad. Have him come along. You know, there's a whole different attitude.
Okay.
My kids haven't enjoyed that. It's always been, well, he's not that. Well, he's not that, or she's not that.
Yeah.
Different way of growing up for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. And, you know, I also want to just ask, and I know you've probably been asked this a lot but I'm curious, when you finally get drafted into the NBA, what was that like? Were you like, man, I don't know, just talk about what that was like when you heard that, you know, that you're actually going to play in the NBA.
Well, it never crossed my mind. Somewhere during my senior season in Gonzaga, our coach, he wasn't our coach anymore, Fitz, came up and said, hey, you're a projected 4th round pick. I went, oh my God, that's the greatest thing ever. Of course, 4th round picks never make it, but that hadn't even occurred to me. So a lot of things happened. Season went, I wouldn't say well. The good players on our team, the scores all got hurt, forced me into a role that I had never intended to assume. And I ended up starting getting a lot of attention. I ended up being MVP of the league. I ended up getting invited to postseason tournaments, all of which I happened to play decently at. Again, no pressure. I wasn't expecting anything anyway. Come down to draft day. I was expected to get drafted late in the 1st round by Portland, like their 2nd or 3rd first round pick, by the way. And so we were all watching the draft, and suddenly Utah drafts me. And I was just stunned. I was stunned the rest of the day. The house was going berserk.
I bet.
But I was just stunned, like, wow, that's 1st round. I'm going to actually get a chance to do this thing. What a day. I mean, it's giving me kind of goosebumps just thinking back to it.
Wow. Yeah. I can't even imagine what that would have been like. And I'm sure the house was going a little crazy, and
it was.
You were stunned and all that. Well, you know, and there's a lot we could talk about there. And I want to get into some other things, but, you know, obviously you not only got drafted, but man, what a career, 19 seasons with the Utah Jazz. And I'd love to hear your thought. You know, I had a lot of respect from a distance, and I didn't know him personally, but Jerry Sloan, and just the way, I mean, he was a lot like you, just hard nosed. There's no excuses. Let's show up and do our job kind of thing. I'd love to just hear your thoughts about what your relationship felt like and looked like with Jerry.
Yeah. Even if I could take a half a step back,
please.
The opportunity to get there came from Frank Layden. I mean, if it were all happening today, the guy like me is never getting selected. I just don't look.
That's true.
And no matter what stats, no matter what you do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't happen. Frank Layden took a chance. He got booed. I got booed, or we got booed on draft day by the Utah faithful. So what kind of a choice is that? Now, He gave me a chance. He had belief. It took a while to get to where I started filling any of his beliefs out, but I owe a debt of gratitude to him for taking that risk. At some point in time, he felt like he had served his purpose, that for this team to get better, we needed to make a step up. And that's when he hired Jerry Sloan. I was a little nervous about Jerry. I had met him the year before, and he's everything that I had heard about him. Tough, look you straight in the eye. You better be ready to be a man when you're around this guy. And I'm going, wow, this guy's going to be our head coach. Oh my goodness, am I ready for this? But it turned out to be a wonderful, wonderful experience for the next 15, 16 years. Like you said, no excuses. You roll up your sleeves and bring your lunch pail, and you go to work every day. And if you lose, you get up, you grab your lunch pail, you go to work the next day. And, very grateful for that influence he had on me and the friendship that we developed over 19 years or 15 years, whatever.
Yeah, no, I love that. And again, no disrespect to Frank Layden. He's amazing. And he really set the stage for what a very successful franchise, obviously. And we owe a lot of credit to him as well. I came across a quote that Jerry said about you. I want to hear what you think about this. He says, I think John Stockton could have played in any era He didn't need the cameras. He just wanted to beat you. That comes with how he was raised.
Well, as you can see, it puts a smile on my face just to think about that. I think he's right. The camera was not the fun part.
Yeah.
I wasn't seeking fame.
Sure.
Really, frankly, wasn't seeking fortune. I mean, everybody is. You want to make money and be successful, but it was really a distant second or third to just getting to play. And then you recognize that the opportunity that is, you're getting a chance to play a game that you love.
Yeah.
It's a game, for goodness sakes,
Right.
against the best people in the world at that craft.
Yeah.
And I get to go do that every day. And so I looked at that as an incredible privilege, and I'm grateful for that comment. I think it's largely true. And
Yeah.
I don't know whether I could have played in all eras, including this one, but I'd like to give it a shot. We'll just see what happens.
Right. Well, and it's neat as I'm hearing you talk about this, John, is Jerry, I think the reason why he really jived with you and liked you so much is you were that blue collar, let's get up and let's just keep going. Kind of like what you saw your parents do. Like, hey, we get up, we go to work, we just do our part, right? And you were kind of raised that way, but yet that spills over into not just that you were good at basketball, but you just continue to show up. And I think I think I'm most impressed with, John, is yes, you're the assist leader, steals leader of all time, but your durability, I mean, you didn't miss very many games. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, but I think that's why you and Jerry obviously gelled so well.
Yeah, it's missing games. The ones I did miss, they are tear jerkers, literally, for me. Very hard to sit there and watch the national anthem be played and watch guys get ready to play and not be part of it. It didn't happen very often. I missed 4 games in one season. I think I had a surgery in a later season and missed, I want to say 18 others, somewhere in that area, but it's all in 2 seasons. It was such a privilege to get to do it, and I took that seriously. And also, I think we owe it. We owe it to the fans. I mean, this is going to get kind of out there ways, but
it's all right.
People paid to go to these games. They're not going to watch you sit on the sideline. I mean, people save money to go to games. I'm personally aware of a family that had a car crash and didn't make it to the games.
Wow.
They spent all their money, lost their lives trying to do this stuff. There's no way I'm taking a day off because of a boo-boo.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen to me where I've gone to a baseball game and the person that I went to see just decided I'm going to take a rest, or the coach decided I'm going to take a rest that day. I don't think it's okay. I think it's offensive.
Yeah.
And what are you teaching the fans? What are you teaching other children watching? But most importantly, what are you teaching your own children?
Ooh.
I don't have to go to work today because I got a boo-boo.
Yeah.
No, it's just the opposite. We're so backwards right now that
I know, right?
It's hard to stay quiet about it.
I bet you would have a lot to say about what's going on right now.
It
We
is.
won't necessarily get into that, but I can totally see why that would really, cause you to really look at things differently. But again, I love what you said, because like your own family, your own kids are looking at you, and you're teaching them by your example, right? Again, similar to what your mom and dad did for you.
And you take it from a loftier, I mean, being an NBA player is about as lofty a position perception-wise as you can get. Everybody thinks there's nobody that thinks that's a bad job, right? So
Yeah, right.
You have a certain level about that. And if you get to take kids days off, your kids look at it and go, well, if you're famous, those are the things you get to do.
Yeah.
No, that's not how we're doing things. If you're famous, you have an added responsibility to go to work and do your job and be a certain way. So again, I think things are backwards, and I'm sure it's not backwards with a lot of guys,
Right.
but it certainly seems like it from the, at the big picture.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more, but again, so much respect with the way you played the game and live your life. And I want to talk a little bit more about what you're doing, now, and just, as a family man. And I mean, I'm sure you're pulled in a lot of different directions, and there's a lot of things you can do in your life right now, but talk about what it's like. Just, you don't have to give us all the details about your family, but what's it like being a dad and being a husband?
Well, it's life. It's the greatest. I've always wondered why people are excited for the first day of school. When the kids go off to school, you hear that, finally the kids are off to school. No, that was one of the worst days of the year. I've enjoyed the company of our children. My wife's the same way. People want to go on these long trips and be away from their children. No, we want to see if they can come with us or meet us there now. Even now, it's, and yet we still have a responsibility to be parents. We're not trying to be their buddies and drag them out of school to go do fun stuff. But, I think being there is really the best gift to a family, and it's a gift to yourself.
Yeah. What's been one of the biggest challenges being a dad? If you can think of like what's been maybe one of the hardest things for you as a father?
I think I don't think of it in terms of hard. Changing diapers can be hard, or you just do it and move on. So it's just part of life. But I think some of the challenges we've had, all our kids have chosen to be athletes, usually 3 sports in high school and so on. And most of them went on to play college or whatever. And to not ruin that. And how do you ruin it? You can ruin it by walling off and say, well, no, because I played, I'm not going to say anything. Yeah. Or you can be the guy that can't wait for the game to get over to get him in the car to say, hey, you should do this better, or you should have done this worse, or brag about whatever. All the above is finding that balance is difficult. Because if sports are part of their life and part of your life and you ignore it, that's harmful. And if you shove it down their throats, that's harmful too. So I think just finding balance in life, balance with parenting, balance with fun and responsibility and duty, it's ever ongoing.
Yeah. Very well said. Thank you for sharing that. What do you love most about being a father?
It's probably the same answer. What I like best about being a teammate is it's the relationship. Yeah. Again, they're not your best buddies. Your children aren't your best buddies. Your wife is largely your best buddy. But there's a relationship there that's everything. And how you talk to each other, how you enjoy that time, and how you enjoy watching them move away from you and try to accomplish things in their own life, and what kind of integrity that they show in their own decisions. Those are the gifts back when you watch them expand their lives.
Oh, yeah. Well said. Yeah, totally makes a lot of sense there. A lot of my listeners that tune in are struggling with, I guess the best way to say it is they lack some mental toughness in their life, honestly. And they wrestle with that. And, I think if I looked up mental toughness in the dictionary, I'd probably have your picture in there. I really believe that because that's the way I see you. I'm just curious, what do you do to kind of maintain that mental toughness? And then also, what could you share with those who maybe struggle with that, of what maybe they could do to strengthen that?
Well, back to what we talked about earlier in the show is getting up, grabbing that lunch pail, and going back to work. Failure isn't fatal, and it isn't final. It's part of the process. And if you think even the most famous, wealthiest, whatever people don't fail, I think you'd be mistaken. So mostly it's just getting up, back to my dad now. He pick yourself up and go again. Like I said, I lost every game I played with my brother. Came in crying sometime when my brand new jeans bleeding through him and torn, and he'd say, well, don't play with the big guys if you can't do it. So, all right. So you go, but you want to play. So you go back out. So it's just go back. You never fail as if you keep trying. That's it.
Okay. I love that. And I would imagine that by not giving up and you just keep going after it, you start getting more resilient, I would imagine. The losses maybe don't sting as much, but they sting enough for you to continue to push yourself to be better, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
I know you hate losing.
Yeah, it's not fun. I've got some pretty big numbers in the L column, so I should be used to it, but it doesn't ever make it fun.
Yeah. Well, again, I think that's why you excelled and was so successful, not just in basketball, but in life. Because again, you like you said, you grab that lunch pail and you get right back up and let's go and let's get back to work. And again, stuff I don't see so much in the NBA as much as I used to, but I want to share another quote. It was by Jeff Hornacek. I thought this was really cool. He said, John wasn't flashy, but he could pick you apart. You could tell he was raised to be mentally sharp, and you just mentioned these, and totally unselfish. He probably came out of the womb thinking assist.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. What do you think of that? And, and what was it like playing with Jeff?
Well, Jeff probably came out of the womb shooting,
Right.
and
he was a shooter.
There's guys that had gift. We used to tease Carl that the good Lord reached down and absolutely just touched him on the shoulder and said, "You're going to be the most incredible athlete on the planet." And so we used to joke about that quite, and I think a lot of them are true. Listen, assists are understood to be an unselfish stat, but it's also selfish. I mean, that's what would give me giggles. If we score, if we win, if we succeed, that might be my niche. I mean, they didn't let me on the court when I was a little kid to go shoot it. They weren't looking for a guy to score the points or jack up shots. They were looking for me to throw them the ball, get the ball from A to B and get it. So it got me on the court as a youngster. Certainly you have to develop the ability to score. You don't get to play, but that was it. It was as simple as that. If I wanted to play, I had to get the ball to the better players. And I loved it. Again, it's to find little angles that can trick guys, get the ball to where like a quick pitch, it gets the ball to the guy and he gets to shoot and the defender goes, wait, how did that happen? That kind of gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I saw that quote and I thought, man, that's so well said. So why don't we share with our listeners, John, like what are you involved with now and what's your passions now? And I think, I know what they are, but I'd love to hear it from you and for our listeners to understand what you're involved with now and why it means so much to you.
Well, start with that. I mean, family's still my passion, and that's, as we get talking here, so that's what I try not to spoil in the process of these other passions. So the new passion was thrust upon me when COVID hit. I had been around people for 35 years when I started playing with the Jazz that had a different look on health. In other words, not medicines, not drugs, not surgeries if you can help it, et cetera, et cetera. And so I learned a more holistic way of being healthy. Part of that had to do with vaccines. It was suggested to me early on when we started having children, don't do the vaccines. You don't need them, da-da-da-da. And I poo-pooed it. We started, we put our kids on the schedule like everybody else. And until we experienced some injuries. And thankfully they aren't long-term permanent injuries that are life-changing, but they were injuries. And then I watched my dad. My dad took a flu shot. My sister's a nurse. Flu shot 3 years in a row. Within 3 days, went into sepsis 3 years in a row, and that finally went. That's it. They've been telling us this for years. This is what's happening. Take a better look. So then I started studying it. And I wished I'd opened my mouth sooner because I've had friends that have had kids that have been hurt by vaccines. Had they heard me speak out sooner, maybe they would not have, maybe they'd have taken a different route. Maybe they wouldn't have. So where that's at is as COVID hit, I was kind of expecting the rollout. I was expecting them to try to kill this with drugs. Yeah. And I mean, they went so far beyond what I could have imagined. And so we felt the medical freedom, personal freedom, the autonomy to our body, freedom of speech, censorship. These are all things that are vital to our nation, how our nation was brought up, and vital to our health. They all kind of came to a head at one time with COVID. So now, along with Ken Rutgers, we do a podcast. We have been for years called Voices for Medical Freedom. We've recently rebranded called The Ultimate Assist, and we've had you on the show. Yeah. And it's just a great opportunity to share the wisdom of other people. We like to think of it as we're giving you a chance to say what you want to say. And meanwhile, we're sharing it with others. And that's where the Ultimate Assist came from. We're hoping to help people have a better look at how to maintain their health, maintain their individuality, maintain freedom in this country, which was in serious peril a year ago. Right. It's become a passion. I don't know if I can let go. Once you know this and once you've seen it, you just can't be silent anymore. I don't think, at least I can't. Yeah.
Well, and I think that goes with your upbringing. You're a man of integrity, and you always have been. Again, that's the way you played basketball. Even, I mean, because again, it wasn't really about basketball. You were just this man who just did the right thing, and you stand up for what you believe. And I know I respect that about you, John, and I know a lot of people do. I'm sure you got a lot of pushback though because of the stance you were making. How did you handle that kind of pushback? Because you've been so beloved, I bet that was tough.
It was different. It was. I won't deny that there was some a lot of doubt. It kind of came to a head with Gonzaga. I refused to wear the mask at our Gonzaga basketball game. I love Gonzaga basketball. I love the guys there. I love the people in the athletic department.
Yeah.
But I refused to wear the mask largely in objection to the silliness that they work for a virus, number one, that they don't harm you, number two. I mean, when you start looking into these masks, they're awful. They're not healthy. And they knew this. They knew this in 1915 when they had the swine flu break. They already know. All the literature knows the masks are bad. Then they were forcing vaccinations at school. And I'm looking across at, let's call it 500 students. I don't know how many, in fact, but they all have to be vaccinated to get to enjoy this experience, to get to enjoy college. And there's something innately wrong with that, that you have to take a poison. No matter whose poison it is, no matter how healthy they say it is, you should never have to take something into your body that you don't want to. And it was confirmed by the Nuremberg codes, the World War II, the Nazis and their experiments. This is something we've accepted worldwide, and everybody ignored it through COVID.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of initiated it. Lots of my tickets. I have season tickets there since we've been back, and I have a lifetime pass to games, all gone because I wouldn't wear the masks, and it forced me again into, I guess, a little activism.
Yeah.
Which I think's been good. And I've had so many people tap me on the shoulder saying, thank you. You have a voice. We don't. We've had to do stuff. Thank you. You're giving us a chance. And so it's been really rewarding, even if it's been a little nerve-wracking at times.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, totally respect. I think what I respect most about what I'm hearing is you dug deep and went and researched stuff. Most people don't. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I hear something and I'm like, oh yeah, and I kind of just go with the crowd sometimes and like, have I really even looked into this at all? And I think most people, if I would guess, I don't have a statistic, but I would guess most people don't ever research on the details like you did.
Well, I'm guilty of it too, Todd. I mean, you start looking around, there's a lot of serious issues you look at trafficking, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, that's modern day slavery. I mean, it's abusive beyond any of our imaginations. And yet I haven't, either we're time or I'm already on this mission, whatever, had the time to research that and dig into that horrible, horrible thing that takes place every day in this country. I haven't dug into that. So I'm guilty right there of that. And I don't know that I don't know if we can just absorb every problem and attack it. I had 35 years of experience kind of in this health freedom area. So it was an easy transition. I had some knowledge, easy to investigate. I had people that I could investigate it with.
Yeah.
But boy, I sure turned a deaf ear to a lot of serious things going on out there. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, again, like you said, we're probably all guilty of that. And, just being comfortable sometimes is just the easy way. But again, I respect your stance and I respect that you stick to your guns. And that's, I think, why so many people really look up to you, John. And I appreciate you sharing your truth on this with us. That means a lot. Yeah.
You're giving me a chance to. I mean, it's important. I mean, it's important for our kids. When you look at your kids and grandkids going to school with masks on, being either forced or recommended heavily to take these poisons into them, or they can't go to school. I mean, these are serious things that is going to impact generations. Yeah. So there's just no room for silence if you know it. I'm not suggesting everybody needs to dig into it, but once you know it, there's no room for the silence. It's vital.
Yeah. No, I love that. I want to share a quote with you. Because I just would love to hear your thoughts on it. And then I got a couple more questions before we wrap some things up here. But I want to share this with you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts because I think it goes along with your willingness to kind of go down this road. It's kind of like a lonely road, if you will, of just standing up for what you believe in. And it's by Alan Watts, and it's kind of a long one, so bear with me, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, John. Here's how it goes. It says, "Isn't it curious that the moment you begin to grow, the people around you begin to vanish? That when you were reckless, lost in the noise of indulgence, you were never alone. But now as you strive for something more, silence. You see, human beings cling to familiarity, not because it's good, not because it's right, but simply because it's known. And when you begin to change, when you step beyond the version of yourself they once knew, it unsettles them. Most friendships are not built on deep connection, but shared habits. If you drink, they drink. If you complain, they complain. If you fear, they fear. Misery, after all, loves company. But the moment you no longer entertain the drama, the gossip, the self-destruction, the crowd thins. Not because they dislike you, but because they do not know you anymore, and truthfully, they do not wish to. So what will it be? To stay the same, surrounded but stagnant, or to walk alone for a time and discover the rare few who resonate with your higher self? Because the irony is, the loneliest path is often the only one that leads to true belonging."
Wow.
Yeah.
What a quote that is.
Yeah.
Alan Watts, did you say?
Yeah, Alan Watts. And he was an old British philosopher. He's since passed, but man, I really study a lot of his work. And boy, when I came across that, I said the same thing, John. I was like, wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It really is. Listen, we've all done that. And you think back to your high school days and I can think back to mine. It was becoming rather in vogue to be willing to smoke marijuana.
Yeah.
And I had a buddy, one buddy in particular, mine. We just said, no, we're never doing that. We kind of had a little pact between us.
Wow.
And just to that point, is it thins. I mean, when you think about who your bosom buddies are at that point, it was basically one.
Wow.
And it eventually you find your own path, and there's strength in that too. I can remember growing up all the times where everybody loved this song or Star Wars. Remember, everybody loved Star Wars. You never watched Star Wars in that first go round, not once,
Right.
because everybody was doing it. And you get comfortable in that path, and it's, boy, at least for me, I can't speak for everybody. It's just true, and it's those friendships you have are long lasting. They're still my friends to this day. I don't know. I sure wouldn't switch. I appreciate that quote. I'd like to have that when we get off the phone.
Yeah, I'll send it to you for sure, John. Absolutely. Yeah, and thanks for your insight on it. I knew that would resonate with you because, again, the way you've carried yourself throughout your life. If there's someone right now, John, listening in on our conversation, and they're struggling and they're in a dark place, what advice could you give that one person right now who's struggling?
I got a great one there. Something my dad would have said, my mom would have said this, is if you're really struggling, you're down and out, go do something nice for somebody. Just go do something just for no other purpose, but doing something nice for somebody else. And it's pretty hard to not feel good about that. I mean, we've tried it. I've certainly tried it. And you go and maybe it's you grab a sandwich and take it to somebody that's hungry, or you maybe just go visit somebody. It doesn't have to be somebody that's downtrodden, and just go do something nice for somebody else. It pays dividends for you. And I mean, back to our religious backgrounds too. That's in the Bible too.
Right.
You go take care of somebody else, and the dividends come back to you. So simple.
Love that. Great advice, John. Thank you. It reminds me, I had a client once, John, that I was doing a group therapy session, if you will, and I was having each person stand up and share something profound, whatever was on their heart that day. And this guy gets up and shares this, and I put it to my memory because I thought it just hit me so hard, and I needed to hear it. And here's what he said: "I tried to find myself I could not see. I tried to find my God eluded me. I tried to find my brother, I found all three." And I was like, whoa, there it is. And it's basically what you just said, John. Like, the power in getting out of ourselves and helping someone else is amazing to our overall mental health, our well-being, and so on.
Well, I know you're doing amazing work too, and as we talked, you're not giving people excuses. You're empowering them in their own way, and that's a
Yeah.
huge part. And I think we talked about a book I read about a survivor surviving, and there's a stat, and it's along those lines: is if you're out in the wilderness and you're lost, if you are taking care of somebody else, if you're lost with somebody else and they're infirm, maybe they caught a leg, like the movies, they caught their leg in a bear trap or something.
Right.
Even if that person has no chance of survival, the fact that you're taking care of them, you're in charge of another person, your survival rate goes from like 20 to 85 or 90%.
Wow.
And I mean, and all these things in life, they come and they meet. And that's one of the things that met for me is do things good for others, you're going to be healthy. If you are in a dire situation, the worst, you're going to die, and you take care of somebody else, you're probably going to survive. I mean, what a better lesson. That's coming from survivors, not from a religious backing. It's impressive.
Wow. I love that. Thanks. That's amazing. I didn't know that exactly like that, but that makes sense to me because I know what's helped me in my life is getting out of myself and helping someone else, and the power in that. It's remarkable, actually.
Well, I know you're asking me and you've been asking my input, but I know you're doing this every day. And so that's why one of the reasons I wanted to be on your show is you're living it, you're doing it. You've dragged yourself up from that dark spot. And I'm proud of you, and I'm proud that you're willing to pay that forward. Anyway, it's just fun to be part of your circle. And thank you.
No, John, that means the world that you said that. Thank you so much. And to be on this show with you is amazing to me. It really is. And not just because you're an amazing NBA player. Again, I go back to just the way you carry yourself in your life. I really respect that so much. And your family's really lucky to have you.
Thanks.
One last question. If, looking back on all of this, your career and everything like that, what's the thing that stands out the most, I guess, over the last, 50 years as you look back?
Well, the things I remember best are the bus rides, the quiet times in the locker room, the dinners, basically the relationships. I mean, there's games, and of course you remember those, and you find out over time you don't remember them necessarily as good as the film does.
Right.
Your memory can get a little skewed over time, but what I really, really miss, and what I think I enjoyed is just that opportunity to be with a group of like-minded folks. By like-minded, I don't mean that we agreed on everything, but we had one common focus, one common goal.
Yeah. And
all the little stuff evaporated. I mean, you think of the problems with race in this world. I mean, we're in every locker room, black, white, it didn't matter. Nobody even cares. And that's where it should be. You can say anything when you're brothers, when you're sitting in a room and you can say anything. And now if you say an off-color word, boy, you're labeled for life.
Yeah.
That locker room was special. And that's why when they've tried to invite cameras into the locker room, I'd be resistant. When they try to have microphones in the huddle, I'd be resistant. No, it's not for everybody.
Right.
That's the mystery for the people that are watching to say, what did coach say that got them so fired up to win that game? That should be a mystery.
Right.
Those are special areas, and that's what I remember.
Oh, it's beautifully said. I love that. Yeah, those sacred moments, man, they're sacred. And I totally get why you wouldn't want a camera in there. But no, the public has to see everything. So yeah, I'm with you. I totally agree. I'm gonna give you one last quote from the late Mark Eaton about you. He said about you, he was the most competitive guy I ever met. It wasn't about trash talk. It was about crushing you quietly. That came from his roots. And even in his quiet competitiveness, he was seen as something built from his childhood. So I just thought, wow, shout out to the late Mark Eaton. What a great guy he was, and what a great teammate I'm sure he was for you.
Mark was the best. He took me under his wing first days there, and taught me how to be a professional, taught me how to prepare for games. I mean, this guy, they found him under a car. I mean, the old joke is he was a mechanic and he had his feet hanging out one end of the car, and the scout talked to him at the other end of the car.
Yeah.
But what a wonderful, wonderful man. And I miss him. He was a absolute keeper. And it's neat to hear him say that. We used to go out to dinner, probably more than anybody else in my whole career. Mark and
Oh,
I
okay.
would go out to lunch and dinner together.
Yeah.
And I would watch time and time again the reactions to a 7'4", 290-pound man walking into the room.
I bet.
And it incensed me. Again, we're back to that word, but we'd walk in and somebody'd go, how'd you get, they'd make this big scene and I'd be like a little pit bull.
Yeah.
You can't talk to him that way. What are you doing? And
Yeah.
he'd just grab me by the shoulder, say, stop. I got this. Relax. And I'd be over there huffing and puffing on the sideline. And but boy, I just love that man. And like I said, I miss him.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. If people want to reach out and learn more about your podcast, what's the best way for them to get in contact with that?
Basically, it's theultimateassist.com. Like I said, we rebranded here half a year ago, and we have producers, Elliot Foster, Janet Buer, who are making it a much more professional thing than what we did with Voices for Medical Freedom. We had great guest voices. That was kind of our strong point. We had great guests, still do. If people want to go back and see some great timely things to see, hey, were we on the right page or not? It's all proved out to be right on the money. And so that's a great one. But it is the Ultimate Assist at this point. And you can get those old shows through that. So I know the producers, Janet Bueller's answering, and we have a little thing after each show where people can call in or send in questions that we'll answer personally if they do it. So hopefully they'll reach out. People will reach out.
Yeah, great. I'll put that link in the show notes so when we go live, people can click right to it. And anyone listening right now, I recommend please go check out what John's doing and Ken. They're two great guys really trying to make a difference in this world and for the right reasons. And it's so cool to watch. And I was fortunate enough to be on your show. That was awesome. And it was a dream come true. So John, I can't thank you enough for being on my show and taking the time out of your busy schedule to share your insights today. And I've been filled with so much, light and love today from you. And I'm sure everyone tuning in felt the same way. Well,
thanks, Todd. I wouldn't want to be on this show if you weren't you. I mean, we getting to know you on the show and knowing what you're doing over there. And, as I mentioned before, I'm proud of you and proud of what you're doing. So this is an honor for me.
Wow. Thank you so much, John. Well, there you go, folks. John Stockton, the NBA legend, but more importantly, he's a family man, a man of faith, a man who lives by integrity, someone we can all look up to. And I'm just grateful to have him on. And I'm grateful for all of you tuning in to listen to this amazing conversation. Please share this with your family and friends. And obviously most people do know about John, but we shared some things today that they may not know. And so they need to hear these things. So please share it. And again, thanks to my sponsors. I love you. And until next time, everyone. And John, to much success moving forward.
Thanks, Todd.
Take care.